All right, so we're going to be discussing a lot about the inyanim of brachos be'ez Hashem today, as we mentioned yesterday. So Tu Bishvat is a wonderful opportunity to go through some of the inyanim of brachos. And I want to mention to you something else in addition to what I said yesterday. And we talked about the Maral. The Maral in Gulari explains that the yesod of a bracha really is hakaras hatov. It's about a gratitude, right? The Gemara tells us in brachos that if a person eats something without making a bracha rishona, he is stealing from Hashem, because Hashem owns the food, and you only have permission to eat that food once you have made a bracha. And therefore, that if a person eats without making a bracha, therefore he basically is ki'ilu stealing from the Rabbeinu Shalom. There's something else which is also a beautiful, beautiful idea, and that is as follows. The root of the word bracha, baruch, is base, reish, chof. Now the gematria base is obviously 2, and reish is 200, and chof is 20, which means each of these letters is basically has a 2 as its numerical place, and basically results in the number 222, represents an increase and a heightening in the holiness of the object of the person, which means that when a person makes a bracha on the item, he's actually not only uplifting himself, but he's uplifting the item in which he is eating, which is an unbelievable yesod. Just to cut a very, very long story, very, very short, the Heilige Baditsheva, Levi Yitzchak, famously once went over to a fellow that he saw that he was eating or drinking, for that matter, a cup of beer, and he did not make a bracha. So the Baditsheva went over to him and he said to him, I want to explain something to you. You've got a big mistake over here. Again, I'm cutting the story very, very short because we've got to get through some halachas today. And he said to him, basically there was a piece of barley, and the piece of barley needed to come down as a tikkun to this world to have a bracha made on it, for whatever reason it may be. And you basically did not take that opportunity, and you did not make a bracha on that barley. Memele did not get its tikkun, and he told him that barley came from his father. So it actually needed a tikkun in this world, and the tikkun was making a bracha, and you lost the opportunity, you didn't make a bracha, you lost the tikkun. So again, the yesod of a bracha is such an important thing. What's that? It was his father Yotzei that day. Thank you very much. Beautiful. Obviously, I love Yitzchak. Obviously, you know that one. It was his father Yotzei that day. Beautiful. Thank you. I told you I cut the story very, very short. I could have spent 20 minutes on it. Then I'm not getting halachas done. But that's the yesod. The yesod of a bracha is not only hakaras hatov and gratitude, but it's uplifting ourselves. It's getting permission to eat, and it's uplifting the actual food as well, which is very, very important. So, as I said, we're going to use the opportunity for Tu Bishvat to learn a little bit about Hilchos Brachos and various other halachas that we're going to get to. The first one being as follows. There is a din. There is a din called Kedimas HaBrachos. Kedimas HaBrachos, and this is very nagea to Tu Bishvat. Okay, I speak about this almost every year. And every year I have the same thing, like, what? Really? Are you sure that's true? And then you run over to the Mishnah Berurah and they go check it out and whatever. But it is true. Everything okay? Is he okay? Okay, fine. Maybe get him a glass of water or something? Okay. Everything okay? Okay, Baruch Hashem. Okay, fine. So there's a din of Kedimas HaBrachos. Kedimas HaBrachos applies the entire year. Doesn't make a difference what you're eating, when you're eating it. It applies very much on Tu Bishvat, but it also applies the entire year. Now, we're going to get to this. It's a very, very important thing. The Mishnah Berurah brings down in some Kuf Samaches, Sikot Nalef, that the din of Kedimas HaBrachos is a hidden mitzvah. That means it's a hidden mitzvah which happens to come from where? It's so beautiful, everything falls in the right time. Where does hidden mitzvah come from? Hello? Who? No. Zeh Keli Vaveh, which happens to be this week's parasha. Oh, shit, the Gabba. Right, Zeh Keli Vaveh, this week's parasha talks about the inyan of hidden mitzvah. Says the Mishnah Berurah, the inyan of Kedimas HaBrachos, making brachos in a various order, is a din of hidden mitzvah. I don't want to lie to you, there is a Balatanya. The Heilige Balatanya, Shulchan Aruch Harav and Graz, Tain is not that way. It's chaylik on the Mishnah Berurah, and the Balatanya holds that it's din of ma'akev, and therefore it's osser for a person to make it not in the right order. So it's very, very important in this case. Generally, b'di'evet it will work. There is a case in the Rashba that it won't work, but pashtus it will work. Now, the general idea of Kedimas HaBrachos means that there's a certain order of the bracha. Now that doesn't mean that the food necessarily is muchashav. The food doesn't have to be muchashav, but the bracha can be muchashav, and therefore we make a bracha that's muchashav first. What is the definition of a bracha that's muchashav? The definition of a bracha that's muchashav is what? Anybody have any idea? Why? Give me reason. No, I want a svara. Why there's a din kedimas brachas? Why would one bracha? Who cares what it is right now? We'll get to the order. Why would a bracha be more chashav than another one, Morty? What are you telling? You have any interesting svara?
Because that bracha is more specific.
Higher foods. What is it?
Like wheat, like barley.
Oh, says Mr. Annenberg, very poshut. If the bracha specifies less things, it's a more special bracha. It doesn't include everything. For example, shahakol is on the lowest one of the tier. Why? Because shahakol pretty much includes everything. The Rebbeinu upgraded everything. Whereas boire priha 8, just as an example, only includes fruits that grow on a tree. That's very specific. That's why it's higher up on the list. So the idea of the bracha is not that the food is more chashuv, but it's the bracha that I'm making includes less things and therefore is more special. Okay? Now, does anybody know the Seder of Kedimas HaBrachas? There's a special term to use. Would anybody know what it is? You have to remember this for the rest of your life. You know, they used to do shidduchim this way. Right? There's famous stories of people that go to the shver, right? And he would test you by seeing what bracha you make first, or if you know what bracha to make on something, to see what it was. Depends on what if he's supporting you. Avada has every right to ask you then, no? Even you'll ask him to that one. Anyway, what is it? Anybody know the way of? No, whatever. Okay.
So maybe I got from first.
That's only on Shabbos.
Magash.
Motzi.
Okay, so actually, Magash is generally Mezainis, Geffen, Eitz, Adoma, and Shahakol. Okay? Now, obviously, Amotzi comes before that, of course, but that's what it is. Now, it's very, very important to understand what this means. Okay, so there's a Seder Advar, we're going to talk about it Gabe Tu Bishvat, how it's the gate, on Tu Bishvat, but it's the gate all the time. For example, you have on your plate, you got some noodles, and you got some schnitzel. Now, you got a Shahakol, and you got a Mezainis. Which one comes first? Obviously the mezainis. So therefore the din is I have to make the mezainis before I make a bracha shakol on the schnitzel. Again, it's not a din chashivas of food. That's why I said it's not a din that the food is more chashiv, it's also the bracha because it includes less things. Now,
maybe it's not because of chashivas, because once you make a shakol you can't make mezainis.
No, you could.
Good?
Yes. Now, Rabbi Isai, let me ask you a question. Without getting to Ikav Atoffel, that's a sugad Meishid base that we're not going to go into. But one of them is if a person has a cone with ice cream on top of it. So ice cream is shakol, and the cone is mezainis. So a fellow, I saw this once, a fellow was holding it up, like not upside down, but he was eating from the bottom first. And I said to him, what are you doing? He says to me, Amoritz, Kedimas HaBrachas. I said, Amoritz, Reish Aleph. I go, what? Aha, that's the reason why you're making the mezainis first. The Mishnah Berurah says that the whole side of Kedimas HaBrachas is when I want one before when I don't care which one to have. I don't care if I have the schnitzel before the noodles, it makes a difference in my life. No. But when it does, if I don't want one now, I will give you an example. Okay? Let's say, for example, they serve schnitzel, and the Berachos are coming out in a minute. A few minutes, the Berachos are coming out the oven. Right now, they're not ready. They're coming out the oven in a minute. Am I mechuyev to wait for the Berachos? Because that's a mezainis? Obviously not. I'll give you another example. After a tainus, after a fast day, many people like to have a coffee, a tea, a glass of water, and then they'll have a piece of mezainis, and then they'll eat something, right? Do I have to have the mezainis first? Because mezainis wins. The answer is no. Whenever I don't want to have both of them, I'm not mechuyev to make a bracha on the Kedimas HaBrachas. But when I want to have both of them, and the shad is which one to make a bracha on, bang, then I've got Kedimas HaBrachas. You with me? It's very, very important. Now, let's move on to the sugya here, and that's a very, very important thing. So the two conditions, one second, I'll get to that question. The two conditions I want to spell this out very clearly of Kedimas HaBrachas applying is A, they're both in front of me, and B, I want both of them now. If I don't have these conditions, there's no din Kedimas HaBrachas. Yes?
If you have 2-3 different foods on one plate, so you can choose or you can't?
No, because I want both of them now.
You can't choose which one to have first?
No, you have to choose which one to have first, meaning you have to have the mezainis before the shakal, or whatever it may be.
So what's the difference between that and an ice cream?
Because in the ice cream I don't want the koon right now, because it's going to spill. I'm going to start eating the koon from the bottom, it's going to start stripping out whatever it is. I want the ice cream first. When I get to the koon, I'll do the koon. That's if the koon requires another bracha, which we're not going into at this moment of time. Whether or not you go with the balatanya, we're not going into now. Hilchos Ekev Atoffel, could be it doesn't require a bracha, but if it does require a bracha, I would not have mechuyev. You hear the difference? Okay. Now, let's go now to our shaila. let's talk about our shaila in this moment of time. We'll see how many other things that we have to discuss in this case. Okay, so we've got hamotzi, mezones, hagofen, eitz, and hadoma, kind of the same, almost the same category. Shahakal, and then what's the last one? Reach, smell. That's the last one on the list. Okay, now there's a Mishnah, a Gemara in Berachos Mem on the base, where the Gemara tells like this: if you've got many types of foods in front of you, Rabbi Yehuda says Shiva Saminim come first. The Chachamim say whichever one you want comes first. Right? The Gemara explaining the Mishnah on Mem Aleph, Omen Aleph explains that there's enough Gemina if Berachos Shavos or Ein Berachos Shavos. Okay, so let's go one by one. Okay, let's talk about a classic case. And again, a lot of people have this mistake. Again, I know this because I talk about this every single year. And every year when I talk about it, I have Choshev Yidden sitting at the back sometimes. And their mom is like, no, it can't be what he's saying is right. And I always run over to the Mishnah Berurah. I've got you guys here, Baruch Hashem, you're testing me. You're going to check me up 100%. But you probably know what I'm saying right now. You probably know what I'm saying. So.
know about rafts.
Okay, there's no rafts over here. This is just clear cut Hilchos Brachos. Okay, so let's talk about Ein Berachos Shavos. What does it mean, Ein Berachos Shavos? What happens if I have two things in front of me where the brachas are different? Let's take a classic example. I've got in front of me a platter of fruit for the Heilige Tu Bishvat, and I have fruits that require ha'etz and fruits that require a hadoma. Right, we're all familiar with what requires what. We're not going to go into the moment in time what does and what doesn't. We all know I can have, for example, bananas, and I can have apples and grapes, whatever it may be. So I've got a sugya of Ein Berachos Shavos. Again, Gemara, Berachos Mem Aleph, Omen Aleph talks about this distinction. Ein Berachos Shavos. What do I do?
What if one of them needs a shachiyana?
Doesn't make a difference. What? I'm asking. Again, I've got grapes and I've got bananas. What do I do now? Which one comes first? I need to make a hadoma or eitz. Which one do I do? You make a eitz first? Why? Because it tastes better? There are certain hadoma things that taste very gishmak. Strawberries are not gishmak. You can't eat strawberries anyway, right? Or when you get to the bedigas talam, so we
don't do bugs.
We don't do bugs. We're going to do bugs. Don't you worry. I have a whole screen. I have a slideshow on bugs if you want. Maybe we'll do it in the showroom after, because we can switch off the lights so we can see the videos and you can see those interesting insects coming out. You'll want to have strawberries after that.
It's perfectly okay with that.
No, Rabbi say Ein Berachos Shavos. Who wins? I got a grape. Shiva Saminim, Eretz Yisrael, beautiful fruit. Eretz Yisrael, beautiful fruit. What?
What does magash mean?
Magash.
What is it? Is that dama first or eitz first?
So the Maisa of the halacha is like this: Chaviv wins. Okay, now people don't know this. Unfortunately, people do not know this, and I know this for a fact. Yeah, eitz or shachiyanu or whatever. It's a mistake. Chaviv wins. What does Chaviv mean? Like it's Rishonim, I'm not going into it now. But the pashtus of Chaviv means, and we'll just say the easiest way right now, is you always like it and you like it now. I love banana. I always love banana. Now I love banana. I make hadoma first. I don't care Shiva Saminim. I don't care ha'etz. I care about what I want. That's Chaviv. That's Chaviv, right? I once asked a guy, imagine if you have, for example, a date in front of you, which is Shiva Saminim, and you have, some watermelon. Which one, the Maisa? It's a hot day out there, the watermelon is freezing cold, very refreshing, the date is like all soggy and warm, and which one would you go with? So he says to me, whatever Hashem wants. That's the one I want. Okay. So basically the Chaviv ones always wins. That is the din. If there is no Chaviv, I have no preference, what wins after that? Shiva Saminim. If I don't have a Shiva Saminim there, which one wins after that? Sholem, whole. Okay, and if I like everything equally, and none of them are Shiva Saminim, and none of them are whole, then an eitz automatically comes before Hadoma. Okay? Now, by the way, if you've got certain Shiva Saminim in front of you, which Shiva Saminim do you make first? Now, it's very negay because we're going to have a lot of Shiva Saminim in front of us. Right, we've got
7, so how many
which one? I'm asking. Out of the 7, which one are you making first? You have to pick up Shiva Saminim. Which of the Shiva Saminim do you pick up? So the answer is you go by the Seder of the Pasuk, Danny. Thank you very much. Beautiful. Whichever one fits first, appears in the Pasuk first. The Pasuk, Eretz, Chita, V'Sa'ira, Gefen, Te'ena, Rimon, Eretz, Zayah, Shem, and Advash. Anything that's closer to the words Eretz is automatically going to be considered in that case. Now, this is all Ein Berachos Shavos. What if it's Berachos Shavos? Meaning, I've got in front of me a platter of fruit which is all ha'etz. I need to make a bracha ha'etz. Which piece of food do I pick up and make the ha'etz on? What? Wrong. Shivas haminim. Okay? So if I have in front of me a platter of fruit with all the 8 things, everything's 8. I've got apples and I've got pears and I've got grapes and I've got everything there, and my pomegranates, I've got all the 8 things. You always pick up a shivas haminim first. Again, if it's ein b'chasem shavos, meaning I've got in front of me hadoma things, I know 8 things, chaviv wins. If I've got b'chasem shavos, if it's all the same bracha, meaning all are 8, you go with shivas haminim. If you haven't got a shivas haminim, what wins? Shalim. A grape, for example, right? And if you haven't got a shalom and you haven't got a shivas aminim, then you go with chaviv in that case. Now again, chaviv means I always like it and I like it now. That's generally the seder hadvarim in this case. Okay, is that clear, Rabbi Isai? That is the general halacha that's very, very negeya for Tu Bishvat. Let's quickly just talk a couple of things that could be negeya. We talked about an Indian of a shalom. What if you peel something? Is it peel considered to be shalom? There's a minor of having a shalom. When you make a bracha, you should make a bracha on the shalom. In fact, the poskim say, for example, if you cut up an apple, right, and of course it's better not to cut up the apple, it's better to make the bracha on the shalom. But if you did cut it up, so what I would do to get the biggest minor of making a bracha is actually put it back together again so it looks like it's whole, make the bracha, and then take a piece from it. What's that?
Let's fool Hashem.
Not fooling Hashem. There's a dova choshev when you're making a bracha on a whole apple, right? It's not fooling anyone. It just looks more choshev. Okay? Now it's very, very important also, let's mention a couple of Hilchos Brachos, because obviously we're trying to machazek ourselves in Hilchos Brachos before Tu B'Shvat. A person should always make a bracha, Shulchan Aruch Siman Reish Vav, when the item of food is in front of him. There's a shaila. If a person is pressing the water fountain and the water is coming out, does he have to press the button before he makes the bracha? Or does he not? Now obviously to make sure that the water actually is going to come out, I suggest doing that, because just sometimes you'll make the bracha press and it won't work, right? But the question is that considered to be a hefsuk? So some of the poskim say in Achanami it is a hefsuk, so rather I should push it, make the bracha, and then have it in front of me straight away. If you have an item in a bag or a box, the item should be opened up. It should be all ready to eat. The nut should be opened up before you make the bracha. There should be no hefsuk between making the bracha. The food should obviously be checked for bugs, which we will talk about Be'ezah Hashem at a different time in that case. And there's an interesting shaila which we're not going to spend a lot of time in it. It's a Sugin Yeridei Simon Kuf that talks about the Indian of beria. What's a beria? A beria is a whole item. What is the din of a beria by Yeridei? The din of a beria by Yeridei is it's never ever bottle. Even if it's tiny and there's thousands connectoi, because it's a dova choshev. A beria is a dova choshev, it's a whole thing. The shaila in Achronim is, if you eat a beria, which is less than the share that requires a bracha achroina, will it require a bracha achroina because of its chashivas? Right? Probably all of you are thinking about the Taz in Hilchos Kiddush that talks about making Kiddush on a l'chaim glazel, right? In a small little cup. Well, how could you do such a thing? It's not the share. The Teretz says the Taz, that if something is normally dragged that way, it's choshev, so it gets a din chashivas even if it's smaller than the share. And the same thing would be when you eat a beria. For example, if you eat one seed of a pomegranate, so you're eating a whole entity, even though it's much less than a kazayas, and whether or not a person has to make a bracha choyna. So what do the poskim suggest to do in such a case? Shulchan Aruch discussed at the beginning of Siman Reish Yud, is you cut the seed in half. Now, if you're eating a whole bunch, you're eating a whole bunch. But if you're eating only one pomegranate seed, that's it, I'm just picking one pomegranate seed and that's it, I'm yaitza. So the halacha is, in order to get out of a shayla of a bracha achroina, cut the pomegranate seed in half, and this way it's vada not a berry. If it's vada not a berry, it's less than the share. We'll not have to make a bracha achroina in that case. Be'ez Hashem, tomorrow we're going to continue with the inyanim of shechiyanu. What requires a shechiyanu and how do we make it? Be'ez Hashem, join us tomorrow.